Welcome to this preview of Beginner's Guide to Collecting Militaria, a special digital bookazine compiled from the archives of the Armourer magazine. In this bumper bookazine, the 136 pages are split into 4 categories, starting with auctions and events. This is your guide to where to look for militaria to collect. We start with looking at typical offerings from dealers. The advantage of buying here is that you normally get some kind of guarantee of authenticity. The main place for picking up militaria, and if not buying then simply monitoring availability and prices, is at auctions. We have a couple of features that show what you're likely to find and what it cost at the time of writing. One of the best places to buy is at a militaria show, and there are 2 types of these. The first is one that features lots of reenactors and trade stores. The second is one based around historic places such as train stations. The other options to spark your collecting imagination is to either tour a battlefield site or go to a museum. There are endless ones around the UK. Sometimes it's possible to combine a traditional holiday with visiting war sites, such as our feature on travelling to Crete, scene of fierce fighting in World War II, when German paratroopers mounted a costly invasion from the skies. The second section is essential advice, which is all about buying, research, insurance, fakes, relics and licenses. Here is your guide to bidding at online auctions, collecting on a budget, how to get good deals in the sale rooms, and how to avoid expensive mistakes. On that theme, there are also features on telling if photo albums are fake and a guide to Fantasy National Socialist Awards. These are medals and badges dreamt up after the war by crooks. One of the most interesting recent developments in militaria collecting is the arrival of rusty relics from the Eastern Front. This was a vast campaign, and weapons, medals and helmets are now being dug up from the swamps and marshes of Eastern Europe. We take a look at this phenomenon and ask questions about the ethics of removing objects from battlefields. One of the interesting parts of being a collector is actually finding out who the awards or objects belong to, especially in the case of paperwork, badges and medals. So here we have a feature on how to research people from the war years. Having bought your military items, the thorny question of where and how to display them comes up next. That subject, along with repairing and preserving militaria, is in the next section called Maintenance and Displays. There are extensive guides to cleaning and fixing daggers, restoring leather items, removing storage grease, restoring metal objects, cleaning rusty firearms, repairing uniforms and clothing, and fixing up old ammo boxes. There are also practical options discussed for what type of boxes and mounts to put your militaria into. The final section is Collecting Inspiration, where we take a look at some of the stories behind the militaria, put your militaria to work, and show it off to other collectors. These start with a couple of war stories. These are stories behind the militaria, the real people who owned them, and what they did in the war they fought in. There's a feature on chasing down and finally being reunited with family medals, and a whole series on using your militaria in the hobby of living history. We've got features on how to get started, what you need to know, and the time periods to represent. So, if you've ever been interested in collecting militaria but didn't know where to start, I hope you'll find plenty of useful advice in this special digital bookazine.